But then I began meditating and having Kundalini experiences. And in 1974, I had a direct experience of God. And I was shown that reincarnation is real and that at the moment between life and death, we remember who we are, all knowledge, and then we forget as we die. And that was my fear that I was badgering myself about. What am I afraid? Well, the fear is death because we are wiped out only to be incarnated again.
Have you ever done years of personal development, mindset work, or therapy and still felt like something deeper was missing? What if the answers aren't just in your thoughts and your behaviors, but in the energetic patterns that shape your entire life experience? Welcome to Energy Medicine, where science, consciousness, and healing come together to create real transformation. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Eleanor Haspel-Portner, with a PhD from the University of Chicago and more than 5 decades of groundbreaking work. Dr. Eleanor has helped over 45,000 individuals uncover the energetic pattern utilizing her Nobel energy maps. It's a transformational system designed to help people understand who they truly are and how to align with their highest potential. I'm your host, Dr. Mary, and on this podcast, I intend to share practical and tangible tools to support healing, nervous system regulation, expanded awareness, and meaningful transformation. This conversation may completely shift the way that you think about healing, consciousness, and the untapped power of your energy.
That experience not only gave me that peace and an energy experience of knowledge, but also showed me what relationships about. So I got off the experience, sat down, wrote an outline to a book, sent it off to a publisher on relationships called Marriage in Trouble, A Time of Decision. And I got a contract back in the mail. So I began the relationship piece, the consciousness piece, and I was just in a different space. I was no longer academic. I was in private practice. I had a license, and I began to work with healing energy. I had a reading with an astrologer who changed my life, 1973. And I had studied astrology and thought it was the hardest thing I'd ever studied. And when I had the reading, she told me I'd move. She told me the day and time I met my husband, and we met in India. And Katie became one of my closest friends. So I began merging astrology, meditation, my psychic abilities, which I suddenly remembered, and my first memory is of seeing auras, which I've seen my whole life. And I began to work with auras and my psychic abilities in my psych practice. And in 1980, I became the 10th Reiki master in the West. And I started doing 3-day groups in 1977. And I did that for 10 years, every 6 weeks, a 3-day group. And they were so wonderful because I got to work with a group of 30 to 50 people every 6 weeks. And the transformations were incredible. But I kept bringing people in. TFT, EFT, massage, body work, samadhi tank, melt technique, go clay technique. I mean, clean language. I kept finding that there were missing pieces. And when I found human design, which was advertised as a synthesis of the Tree of Life, astrology, chakras, the I Ching, I recognized it. And in 1999, Ra Ru Hu, who was given the human design system, asked me to validate it scientifically. So I did that on 30,000 statistical cases and found that it's an incomplete, disempowering system because it is only looking at the mental waking world. And we are spiritual beings. And when we know, my famous line is, when you know what you know, and no one can tell you you don't know, you're not selfish, you're not stubborn, you're aligned to your soul. Do not compromise. And
that's beautiful.
That is so. In 1973, I started waking up with dreams of knowing with a K. I didn't know what it meant. But really what it meant is that I was working on a soul level with people. And I was listening to what nobody had ever listened to before. Because when I was growing up and I could see auras, I remember as a little kid looking up at adults and saying, why are you acting like this? You shouldn't be treating people this way.
Yeah.
I'd never treat someone this way. So my whole life has really been about learning how to communicate with people's soul, because that's the missing piece. And what I found clinically was that each world, mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical, all delineated in the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, which is a map of self-actualization. And in the Tree of Life, they talk about paths of intelligence, but it forms what in psychology is called a Gutman scale. It's like a child can't learn to ride a bike until they have certain physical, neurologic skills. We can't communicate at a level of the soul with a language that isn't speaking to the soul. And so my work as a clinician was to find the different language that would tap into the missing pieces that I was seeing in my clients or my couples. Yeah. And I wasn't reaching that change that was solid and transformational and quick.
Right.
You know, therapy shouldn't be a 15-year process.
Today's conversation with Dr. Eleanor is filled with wisdom to help you better understand your energetic pattern and to unlock new levels of healing and clarity. If you're ready to explore personalized tools to support your own transformation, then I invite you to schedule a complimentary 15-minute discovery call with me, and together we'll discuss goals, challenges, and practical next steps for your own healing journey. Stay tuned at the end of the show. We are going to be sharing a QR code that makes it easy to schedule your complimentary call. So I'd like to hear a little bit more about what have you learned? I mean, obviously, over the years, you know the importance of correlating the statistical information in order to come to what is true. And you've worked with over 45,000 people in helping them to understand and the patterns of their energy systems, what it means for the emotional health, and what it means for their overall life success. So can you summarize what you've learned, and then can we then present some practical tools for the listeners so that they can have something to take away with today after today's call?
Yes. Most people get stuck in the emotional reactivity. getting angry, getting frustrated, burning out, that comes from a misalignment of the inner core. And the misalignment is compromising to please people. Lester Levinson said, it's a want for control or a want for approval. What I found is that communication is very specific to the world. And so if you're in a mental waking world, as we are now in this podcast, we're talking language. We're talking in a way that all of you can understand. But when you're hurting, it's not the language of the world. It's the language that has to get to the soul. So a question that would be a breaker of a dissonance between two people would be, given all of this, what would you like to have happen? That will break a mental world argument, for example.
So you're referring then in a dyad with another person,
Yes.
a person who is receptive to shifting the dynamics of whatever dissonance is occurring within that relationship.
Or not. I mean,
Okay.
let's say a couple is in an argument. Quickest way to stop that is for the one person who may not be as emotionally reactive to say to the other person, given all of this, what would you like to have happen now? You turn it back into the questioning of what do we each want to have happen in a given situation. Self-reflection. There's a tip I could give all listeners about writing gratitudes down, which is to add a because statement to every gratitude. I'm grateful that I ate lunch today because it satisfied my hunger and it gave me energy for my afternoon. As compared to, I'm grateful I ate lunch. So when we add a simple because statement to a gratitude, cortisol drops and physiologically we come into more balance. Now, what I did find in my four world work is that the mental world, the world we live in every day.
What are the four worlds? Can you
There's
remind
the
us?
mental, the world of her daily life, the physical, the autonomic nervous system, which is registering anything in our mental waking world that may have been a trigger from our past, from our present, or maybe fears about the future. And if we get stuck in that mental, physical world dynamic, we lose connection to the soul.
What's the fourth?
There's emotional, angelic, I call it. It's the intuitive transformational aspect where we take what's happening to us in the world and we transform it into higher creative intelligence or emotional intelligence. And then we're at one with ourselves. Then it's spiritual. Then we're aligned spiritually to who we are. I always ask people, do you love what you do in your daily life? If you don't, what needs to happen for you to love what you do? And if you loved what you did, what difference would it make? Now, that's two clean questions that I just asked. Notice that those questions had no mental, no visual, auditory, or kinesthetic cues to the person. So when you're asking, what does it feel like? Or what does it look like? You're limiting the dimensionality of where the communication can happen for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say, what do you know about this? Or are you going in the right direction?
Mm-hmm.
Notice there's no predisposing communication in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so
So,
I'm moving somebody into themselves.
so Dr. Eleanor, I'm hearing your four quadrants. And I am seeing kind of like the progression of how when you finally tap in or drop into the autonomic nervous system, you're getting into the limbic system. You're getting into the conditioned responses that may have been instilled within a person that they're not even conscious of.
Exactly.
And so then you start to really, you see the changes within the hormones, and you see the changes within the emotional state as
But
well.
that's not where we can have impact.
Mm-hmm.
You see,
Okay.
most psychology is on that axis. And where we need to go is, what does that human being want for themselves? What is misaligned about their physiology in the mental waking world? Are they stressed or are they relaxed and joyful? And so many people who are working a job they don't like, or they're in a relationship where there's push and pull, or they don't know how to communicate to their children. Those are all in the current state of psychology, missing the communication that will really make a difference to the soul of all participants.
I understand. Okay. So then we've talked about breaking in the tools that you provided today. Correct me if I'm wrong. We've spoken about the relationship, how to break a discordant encounter with another person, doing that dyad and asking them what they wish to accomplish, like in the here and now, bringing them
Well,
back
what would you
into.
like to have happen? It's a very specific question. Not accomplish, because that says, what's your goal?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
But we want to keep it in the present so there's no leading of any direction.
mm-hmm. And then the second tool, you talked about the gratitude. So expanding upon what you're grateful for because XYZ. If we can
Mm,
get into the depth of why we are grateful for it, then that strengthens the emotional and chemical and hormonal response to what you're expressing gratitude for.
exactly.
Okay. And so, is there another takeaway tool that you'd like to offer up that might pique some curiosity about your upcoming master class?
Sure. I do have a four-world assessment on my website, and that asks questions in each of the four worlds and the integrated world. And when you look at each of the worlds and the kinds of things that you're doing in each realm of consciousness, then you can self-diagnose where you need help, where you need more attention. Many people fall short on self-care.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
They don't take time to go inside or to
mm-hmm,
even eat right, so the four world assessment is to assess, are you balanced? Are you living in a balanced way? Or can you find areas in your life where you need to adjust a little bit?
mm-hmm.
And it doesn't need to be a big thing.
Right.
Keep it simple. I mean, my system's complex, but let's keep it simple. And know that so much of reactivity in the world is not aligned with who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And so much of the dissonance in the world is people doing things they don't want to do. So, a question for the listeners: do you love what you do? And are you doing what you love? And if not, what needs to happen?
Mm-hmm.
So you can do that.
And listeners, there's a gentle reminder that the link to this assessment is available in the show notes. So, and it will direct you into Dr. Eleanor's website as well. So both of those two things are available to you on the show notes, just one click away. So Dr. Eleanor, there's so much wisdom that you're sharing, and so many, I feel like, bits and pieces, that we're hearing about today with the four worlds. And I just imagine that as you have presented, it is a simple 4-quadrant type presentation, but once you look at it in depth, I'm sure it becomes very multidimensional.
Well, it follows the tree of life. And so each of the skills has many layers of complexity. And the key, and especially for listeners now, because we do have a important moon coming up, a full moon on the 31st of May. And there's a lot of cosmic activity right now with sunspots and solar flares and volcanoes erupting and earthquakes. And people are emotionally reactive. And so take time, listeners, to recognize that you may be picking up the emotional angst from people around you. And that may not be who you are or want to be. And so it's important to recognize that you need time alone to be internal and to do the kind of grounding that Mary did when we started, where you get inside yourself before you go outside yourself.
It's a beautiful reminder. Sometimes we get so busy that we forget to come back to self. So that's another tip. That's another tool. That's another suggestion that the listeners get to lean into. And Dr. Eleanor, I know that you've been doing your work for several decades, and I realized that you were very forward thinking in your time. You were a pioneer where you were transcending above and beyond the traditional psychology and incorporating the spiritual dimension and the energetic dimension. So there's so much gratitude that I have for you and your contribution in paving the way for truly providing access to energy medicine for people in their own transformational journey. So I applaud you.
Thank you.
I'm grateful for you because it has paved the way for those of us wishing to aspire to do transformational work in today's world, blending the science that has been proven versus the science that has yet to be proven. So thank you for that. And listeners, I realize that all of you have the opportunity to choose how you want to spend your time on a day in, day out basis. So I'm honored that you're choosing to spend time with us today. And as Dr. Eleanor is talking, in that the complexity of the emotional body of how you integrate into the conditioned responses within the neurology can help you ascend into some of those spiritual dimensions. So until next time, listeners, I invite you to listen and to connect with those emotions that arise within you. If today's conversation resonated with you, please, please, please share this episode with somebody who you may feel could benefit from it. I know that I certainly enjoyed my time with Dr. Eleanor, so I'm going to assume there's plenty of people out there that would love to be able to connect with her and to learn more about her four worlds and her upcoming masterclasses as well. So appreciate your support, and we will be bringing more meaningful conversation to you in the near future. So blessings, everyone.